Hi, and welcome to a weekly review of the markets, looking at the fundamentals and technicals. Of course, the fundamentals are going to be to the fore this week as we run into yet tomorrow's presidential election. Now, we've already seen some reaction to some figures and comments coming out from the FBI throughout Sunday. We've seen a reaction this morning. We could see a continuation of that reaction at some point. I'm sort of sitting here looking for it at the moment, but at the moment we're seeing, as I say, in the short term, we're seeing a bit of a continuation to the upside, or a bit of a move to the back, retracement to the upside. But let's have a look at the markets as we run through, and I will talk about some of the key data coming out during the week. So as we run through those particular pairings. So euro dollar first, and well, last week put euro dollar into what looked like quite a nice solid movement to the upside there. Good bar, ended up good daily bar, a weekly bar rather, ending up right on the close at the highs there, but bang into the weekly 21. Now the data or the comments that came out from the FBI throughout yesterday put a through the spanner into the works in terms of the upside down. What we've seen today, we saw it gap down, had a rally back up to fill the gap. Most of the gap there may be on shorter time frames a bit of a gap to fill, but it could be all over and done with, and it's really now a question of if it breaks this daily 8 moving average. If it starts selling off from here, I would expect further downside, maybe back right the way down to those lows pretty soonish. Now, we've got the election tomorrow, presidential election tomorrow, which the figures would be coming out through Tuesday, early hours of Wednesday morning, I should say. And as those figures come out, and particularly where the key states, when the key states are reporting, we could see quite a lot of volatility in the markets there. Now, I understand Charlie is going to open one of our trading rooms, the swing room, for those that want to join us, that are members of the day, the swing trading or a day trading. You can join in. You need to just email Sam if you're a day trader member and you want to join in on that, just so that she can let you in the room. But he's gonna be awake, bless him, on into Wednesday morning. So maybe able to get some trades off with him during that period. But at the moment, I would expect, and this is the expectation of the markets in a sense, is if Clinton wins, we'll see a strengthening of the US dollar. So we see the euro coming off. If it was a complete shock and surprise, I think we could see a major gap and a huge move to the upside on the pound and the euro if Trump was to succeed. Now, it may be a landslide in terms of Clinton. At the end of the day, we've heard so many swings and how close it is and everything else, and we saw sort of similar sort of polls that were all over the place before Brexit and indeed the UK elections, and of course the Conservatives had quite a landslide relatively. Now, is Hillary going to do the same, in which case I would expect quite a big movement to the downside and some follow through in that, bearing in mind the next movement or the next meeting of the FOMC is likely to increase interest rates. So okay, it's built into quite a large extent, but the relief rally and that fact may just see us coming down further. So it's something to watch out for in the earlier part of this week. Will be volatile regardless, I'm sure. During the normal trading sessions, could be very volatile through the Asian session, so be aware. Okay, so euro dollar, as I said, break of this daily 8, daily 21, really, to me, it really signifies further downside here from the bigger picture. So really what I'm looking at there, as weekly's already run into this 21. We see a lot of resistance, it's possibly run into these levels. Okay, looking at the pound, let's look at the big picture first and the weekly as well. Again, we put in a decent upward buy and put in a pivot swing on the weeklies there. Now, of course, a break of the upside of that would suggest we may be running up to the weekly 21 yet. But again, we've seen the effect of the US elections, and well, it's come down. I've just bring this picture up here. It's actually just bounced off the daily 21. It wasn't looking like it doing it before, but it did actually manage to bounce off that daily 21. Could still be coming south, and again, I'm looking really for a break of the daily 8 for continuation and a confirmation of more downside here. So if it starts breaking that sort of level, I'm really looking to be probably short, although I'm trying to get into back into a short position this morning, so and it may happen yet, but we do have some data coming out tomorrow morning which may affect the pound. Of course, we've got the manufacturing production at 9:30, expected to come in around about 0.5. So that is quite often a reasonable move, moving 20 or 30 pips depending on the data that's coming out. Beyond that, well, we've got very little in the way of UK news this week, but there is some just looking at speakers, but nothing of significance right the way through the week. And of course, we've got a bank holiday on Friday, which could make the markets relatively quiet right the way through. It's a US Canadian bank holiday, and in fact a French bank holiday as well. So it's Remembrance Day. There's a lot of countries there on holiday for that, or taking it. It'll be, I should imagine, the volumes will be light on Friday. So, as I said, with the pound, both the pound and euro, expect the movements to be quick and sharp this earlier part of this week, and we'll see how it follows through from there. Just finishing off on the fundamental perspective of the UK. Don't forget, Theresa May was talking quite negative. I say it quite negatively, but she was more. She's continuing to talk about Brexit, and that was probably pushing down on the pound somewhat as well. So looking at dollar yen weekly wise, well, 1 minute it looks like it's going to break back down again. The trend to me still looks like it's trying to push back above this 21, and this transitional period. Every other week when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, this is going to push up at some point, and then it sort of rolls. Now it put the bearish pivot swing in there for the downside, but it really needs to break the lows of that for me to get bearish on it now. For now, it's to me looking like there's further upside, and I think with the potential news coming out, I'm sort of erring, I know, towards the bullish side at the moment for it, but we'll see if it does switch the other way. The pivot swing kicks in, and I'll be looking for the lows and maybe some more. Aussie dollar. Oh, sorry, I just finished off on the yen on the shorter time frames here. There's not a lot to be said here. It has a huge gap there. That's the one thing to watch out for in terms of that may get filled at some point. But it really, as I said, I'm looking for the break of the lows here to switch back to the downside. Otherwise, at the moment, it's above its 821, pushing up above its monthly pivot, weekly pivot. To me, it looks like it's got the potential to run up towards that daily 200. Certainly, if it breaks the prior highs there, it will give a much more oomph to that move. Okay, Aussie dollar. Now the Aussie's not really reacted at all through this news. Last week it ended up on a positive. We're still sitting in this weekly wedge here. There's a chance at some point that we will actually see the break. The fact that it didn't actually sell off through the Asian session there. Okay, oil was helping the case a little bit. We had a little sell off, but nothing like anywhere else. It does make you wonder whether it will push to the upside, although the fundamentals are a bit knife edge at the moment, and it may just take a spike up and roll over. It sometimes does this out of these wedges. As I said before, the wedge, bearing in mind it's got a higher low, may suggest still to the upside, and the fact that, as I say, it's holding up, may just hold it up. So there's the previous supply area, if you like, where we've been seeing selling coming into the prior highs. Now, it has done it a lot of times. There's this question about running it, whether we sell into 77. It's hit so many times now. It's that point that you think, well, at some point, it's even if it spikes out and comes back in and runs through, I'd rather sell on a correction than try and do anything else. But at the moment, I think the probability starts pushing that we may be running to the upside here. Of course, that could all change with the US election news. And then looking at US dollar stroke CAD. Last week, very insignificant range in the week last week, and you come back through to the dailies, you can just see that the consolidation here, it did spike up on Friday, and put a divergence in there. It's sold off and then through the early part of the Asian session, then rallied back up, filled that up. It has untouched weekly pivot below. It does start to, if we do start seeing some sort of strengthening in the Canadian dollar and oil really taking a big move, maybe we'll get back to that monthly pivot. But for now, it really looks like it's pushing to the upside and may consolidate, sit around this range even further. I think as the week goes on and we get through Wednesday, well, there's not, as I say, it's going to be a quite old day Friday and trading wise, and well, Thursday's not got a lot of data coming out either. So it's all in all, I think this could be one of those quite old weeks, which is defined in the very early part of it. Okay, that's pretty much it on the. I'll just I'll show you oil. Just from a daily perspective, it's had quite a strong sell-off recently. We had some positive OPEC data coming through this morning, but then you got on top of that, you've got oil fields alight in Iraq, but it's still, to me, well, the potential it could get a bit of a retrace here back, maybe down towards the daily 8, but it is looking pretty bearish from the weekly picture. I think it's come down pretty much to that trend line. Actually broken the trend line. There we go, last week. So that trend line's been taken, and so it does look, as I say, pretty bearish at the moment. Looking through, let's have a look at the S&Ps whilst we're up here, and actually let's look at the proper S&Ps. What's going on rather than futures, and you've seen this move back in the current week. Actually, let's just have a look at what's going on. Bigger picture here. We've daily. Sorry, this is cash market. That was last week. Beg pardon. Don't forget, this is not the futures now. Sold off here. Let's just look at the futures. The futures actually up big time this morning. Yep, there we go. So the futures already bounced. So I should be looking at the futures here. Let's come back to that weekly view. You see, look, the futures are halfway up there now. There's quite a big gap in there. Equity markets could flow all over the place. It's quite interesting the way the futures have actually moved up quite so strong. Generally, when we see US dollar selling, we see the futures running up and vice versa. But we've seen both the US dollar selling and the equity markets running up here. Obviously, the equity markets are liking, or the equity buyers are liking what they're seeing here. But generally, we see complete opposite to what we're getting here. But it's at the moment pushing up towards the monthly pivot there, potential for it to push back up there. Air kissed it a few days ago on the first day there, but it's got a chance of pushing up towards the monthly pivot if it continues in this way. Okay, not much else to say here. As I say, news-wise then, just to clarify, election day tomorrow. Tomorrow we've also got manufacturing production out first thing, so that's probably first thing for UK. The election comes later, presidential election. We'll see that running through into Wednesday morning, early hours of morning, to get all the replies, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of the price action happening through that Asian session. Leading through to Wednesday. Not a lot of significant data coming out. We've got some economic forecasts at 10 for Europe, etc. But overall, there's not a lot there. Later in the evening, we've got the New Zealand bank rate statements, 8 p.m. if you're watching the Kiwi. Thursday, nothing much at all. And then Friday, as I say, bank holiday. So quietish week ahead beyond Wednesday morning. That's it for me. Have a great one. Bye for now.